Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Inca versus TaeJa, the third game of the second stream today, GSL Code A-Cast. We have another stream with Wolf and Doa. They are on the first stream. They are in the GOM TV studio right now. I myself am in the GOM TV office and doing a second stream for you guys because we just have so many games in Code A that we want to provide you with two streams so that you are able to follow all the games that you want. All of them are being broadcasted, and you can open two instances of the GOM TV player as well in order to follow every single game. The next one on this stream is going to be another Protoss versus Terran. We've already seen one before. Liquid Hero was eliminated by FXO ASD with a 2-1, and now this is the next match of this day. We have Inca against TaeJa, and the first map is Daybreak. At the top right, TaeJa is just now starting as the Terran player in blue, in the blue colors. He is from Team Slayers, and at the bottom left of the map we have his opponent. We have OGS Inca in the red, the Protoss player that is trying to do what Liquid Hero could not, trying to defeat his Terran opponent. And the second map of this matchup is going to be Belcher Beach, and if we need a third map, it will be dual side. Let's talk a little bit about our players today. Inca, the OGS player that is probably known to most of you out there, he has a 50% win ratio against Terran. He won 18 games and lost 18, played 36 competitive maps against Terran in total. He won against Noblesse in his Code A match with 2-1, lost to MKP at the FX Open King of the Hill, and was able to beat Gumio at the Korean Weekday. Those were just his latest results in this matchup. TaeJa starting at the top right, as I already mentioned. On the other hand, and by the way, have a look at the build orders from those two players. On a map like Daybreak, a lot of them will start with an early expansion, and TaeJa is on 14 supply already and just now collecting as many resources as possible. He will open with a 14 CC, while his opponent Inca is doing basically exactly the same. He's waiting for enough minerals to place down a command center as the first building after the initial pilot. There's a little bit of harassment going on with the probe, but that's not going to happen because that probe is going to be chased away immediately by another SCV. We have the command center being built for TaeJa, and for Inca it's going to be the Nexus. Yeah, talking about TaeJa just a tiny little bit. TaeJa, he has a win ratio of 65% against Protoss, so he has a really good score in this matchup. He won 30 games, lost 16, and therefore also has a lot more games and a lot more competitive games in that Protoss versus Terran matchup than his opponent. He won against Crank at the Korean Weekly of ESV with 4-1 and lost against Oz though. Oz, one of the few Protoss players that were able to advance into the later stages of Code S, was able to defeat TaeJa with 1-0, and the Terran player from Team Slayers, obviously, his opponent is from Team OGS, there we go, and is going to build two barracks. He's not just following up that command center play with a bunch of barracks, he's focusing on gas a little bit more before he will start to mine. He's focusing on minerals a little bit more before he's going to start gas. And at the bottom left we have his opponent with one assimilator. He's now just getting the cybernetics core. The Nexus, the natural expansion, is already done. And he has a small lead, obviously, in supply, just because he's able to chrono boost his economy. And don't forget about the orbital command tech. The Terran player is not able to build SCVs while the orbital command tech is going on. Is making up for that with a mule. He is now controlling double mules, is placing down a bunker at the front of his natural and building, flying over there with his orbital command. Another gas going down for Inca, and I'm curious to see what he's going to do on a map like this. We've seen a lot of players attempting to go for some Blinkstalker plays. I've casted a bunch of games on the European server where Happy was playing against MVP players, And NP players, for example, decided to go for a pressure build with a Blink Stalker, which we don't see all that often. He went for 2 base plays and just was going for Blink Stalkers the whole time and trying to blink into his opponent's main base. We've seen a lot of Warp Prism errors as well lately, and of course with robotics facility is definitely something that you need as a Protoss player if you want to make sure that your opponent is not going to attack you with Cloaked Banshees at some point. On a map like this where the Protoss player was already able to scout that TaeJa started with an early expansion, it's a little bit unlikely that he will go for a Banshee play so that robotics can start a little bit later, but most Protoss players will just decide on getting him nonetheless, as the Colossus tag is just something that you need if you want to deal with the bioforces of your opponent. Terran still has no reason to do something else than a Marine Marauder composition with Medivacs, Vikings later on to deal with the Colossi, and of course the Ghosts as well. That build that we've seen Nuclear aka ASD play against Hero on the 3rd map with the Thor push was quite unusual. Was quite something. I actually enjoyed casting the game and watching it at that. It was kind of funny to observe that game. We have 62 against 58 supply right now, and 44 probes against 36 SCVs. And so far Inca has been focusing on that gateway play, and we have a robotics facility now for Inca as well, trying to get getting 2 forges as well in order to get those double upgrades. And at the top right for the Terran player we already have Stim being researched. He's getting the +1 attack upgrade, mixing that up with additional production buildings, and there's that pressure play by Inca, trying to apply a little bit of pressure in the early stages of the game. The one pylon is also being more warped in so that he can cancelling it. Just decides on not dealing too much pressure to his opponent as he realizes that there are already too many forces for TaeJa out in the game. We have +1/+1 for the Protoss player. Oh, he's trying to put the pilot inside, but no, the probe gets taken out. And there's just no way that he will be able to continue with this, especially since TaeJa is going for that second bunker and tries to make sure that there is just nothing happening to his expansion. So far he's doing a really good job at that. He's now getting the starport for his Medivacs. We have a small scout in the main base of TaeJa. That's while poor Marine is not doing anything at all. +1/+1 is about to finish pretty soon. In terms of the worker supply, we have 55 to 46. Those mules make up for the difference in workers, and TaeJa now on 78 against 81 supply is going for the armory. Wants to get the +2 attack upgrade right away. Has the second engineering bay on its way as well, and the Stim pack is about to finish as the +1 armor upgrade is now just getting started. We have the first Colossi in halfway done for Inca, and he should research his extended thermal lance as well. That's definitely an upgrade that he needs if he wants to rely on Colossi play. He's researching nothing else, has just finished with the +2/+2. I think yes, we have a Twilight Council, so he can get the +2/+2 upgrades as well. +1/+1 has finished, my bad. And now we have him with the extended thermal lance, which is on its way. He has double robotics bay. He has placed down 2 robotics bays, and this is kind of strange. That definitely was a mistake and cost him a lot of gas. So he won't be all too happy about that. And at the same time now putting the rest of his resources into the upgrades at those 2 forges. Chrono boosting once more. 115 supply against 113. The Terran player finished Stim already, is now getting combat shield. At the same time getting +2 attack, +1 armor. And at the bottom right we have 1 warp in pylon by Inca that can put a little bit of pressure not only to the 3rd base that TaeJa is probably going to get fairly soon, but also to the natural expansion itself. The Ghost Academy is just about to finish, and therefore allowing the Terran player not only to get some Vikings with a double starport in order to take down the Colossi, but also take care of the sentries with the EMPs. We have the upgrade for charge about to be researched. Both players taking it a little bit easy right now. Protoss is nowadays a really reactive race, yeah, especially in this matchup. You have to check what your opponent is going to do. You have to get that bio ball, sorry, not the bio ball, that death ball in order to deal with your opponent's forces. And of course, in the later stages of the game, which is going to be exactly very, very crucial, is the control, the ghost control of the Terran player as well as his Viking control. He needs to take out those Colossi as fast as possible because they are the main damage dealer in the Protoss player's army. As long as there's no storm, then it becomes quite viable that the Terran is able to either snipe the High Templars or EMP the army of the Protoss player, including not only the sentries but also the High Templar at the same time. The rocks in the middle of the map are just now being taken out by TaeJa, who has a scary army right there. He's on 90 supply against 80, has a lot of Marines and Marauders already, a bunch of Medivacs at that as well, and we have him on 2 attack upgrades, 1 armor upgrade, getting the 2nd armor upgrade as we speak. Blink now being researched for Inca's army after he finished with the charge upgrade, and he is on 2-2 as well, not researching, +3/+3 just yet. He's trying to get a 3rd base, and that will not only enable him to get those upgrades that I was just talking about, but also to open up another tech tree. We're probably going to see a Templar archive. He needs to pay a little bit more attention to those probes. He was a little bit too early with this economy slide, and therefore losing a lot of mining time, which is something that he should have realized, and yes, he didn't correct that. So having a look at the army of the Terran player, we see that +3 attack has been started. Now the Protoss also with additional upgrades, starting his Chrono boosts right after he starts those in the forge. And yeah, I have to say that I'm waiting for the Templar archive still, so he definitely needs to get a little bit more of area effect damage if he wants to compete with his opponent's army, because right now we have 24 Marauders, 40 Marines, we have 4 Medivacs, 7 Vikings getting 2 additional ones, and 3 Ghosts at the same time. Möbius Reactor already finished. That army of TaeJa is really, really scary. This is a pretty strong army, and it will take down Inca's forces within seconds if the Protoss player is not careful. He really needs to try to get those High Templar. Now we see the Templar archive, but I think that's probably going to be a little bit too late. We'll see about that, but with all those Vikings, he should be able to take out the Protoss player within the instant, at the blink of an eye. Killing his own Marine right now. Getting more Vikings. Look at that. He already has 9, is now going for 12. He'll be able to 2-shot Colossi, and at the same time waiting for the +3 attack upgrade. Inca is about to finish his attack upgrades. Look at that, a 4th base being placed down. He can cancel that straight away. That's not going to survive, and he's canceling it. At the same time, TaeJa is putting a lot of pressure onto the Protoss player right now, taking down that pile, and 200 supply against 200. Both of them are maxed out. There's the Guardian Shield. Look at that amount of Colossi. Nice, going for a lot of hallucinations. I really like that. I really like that by Inca. He might be able to save a lot of his Colossi. And here, I think TaeJa is about to engage and using Stim right away, cleaning out all those Zealots. Nice Stim by him, and look at those EMPs. They didn't do anything at all. They were horrible. At the same time, the Vikings, they are taken out, and wow, the Protoss player with a really beautiful job, but it's not enough. It's not enough. The Terran forces are just way too strong. Inca is already on +3/+3, while TaeJa just finished his +3 attack upgrade, is still waiting for armor. At the bottom right, another base for the Terran player is being built, and he is now in a very, very good position. He had so many units, was able to fall a little bit back, take out most of the Zealots before the Colossi of his opponent actually engaged the Terran army in that fight. And I have to admit that TaeJa just had such a scary force, and even though Inca plays down all those hallucinations in order to protect his Colossi, in order to get a slight edge in that fight, he was not able to kill his opponent's forces. The EMPs were not all that well placed, but TaeJa still ahead with 30 supply. He is getting more ghosts as we speak. Right now he doesn't have any, not a single one, he lost all of them, but he's building 5 at the same time. He's getting the +3 armor upgrade, while Inca is now researching +1 Protoss shield upgrades. He has some Archons, he doesn't have any High Templar at that, he doesn't have the tech for Storm. Is trying to get a 4th base himself, while the Terran players already started to build a 5th. Additional 5 ghosts are being built. Personal cloaking at that will put his ghost count up to 10. He's about to be maxed out again against a Protoss player with 177 supply. OGS Inca needs to be careful. That factory is still blocking another potential defensive spot, and there's TaeJa with the small drop taking down that Zealot. Still waiting for the additional ghost, still waiting for the personal cloaking, and there's once again the Protoss player trying to repel that push, but TaeJa just trying to be a nuisance. More High Templar being walked in for the player from Team Slayers. In the middle of the map, small engagement, not too many units dying, basically nothing. Both of these players pull back before anything happens. And 1,300 minerals already banked up by TaeJa. 1,100 gas for him, 200 supply for both of these players, and 1 Colossi, 2 of them, actually 3 on the map. Where's the 3rd one? Just joining the army. We have 9 Vikings. They'll be able to deal with those because they've been the blink of an eye. Cloaking about to finish. How many observers do we have? We have none. Not a single observer. He needs to hit those ghosts with area of effect damage. He won't be able to inflict any damage at all with his Zealots and Stalkers. And now taking the initiative in the game, Inca is approaching his opponent's army. He has so many Zealots. Look at that. That's 32 Zealots. I'm not 100% sure if those Archons will be able to deal a lot of damage to the Terran forces. They might be able to take the Vikings down with it. But at the same time, we have another encounter. Oh, TaeJa is going for it. He's taking down that base. Of Inca. At the same time, we have the Terran player lifting his orbital command, trying to retreat, and there's the force of TaeJa. Oh god, he's able to snipe down 2 of those Colossi and a lot of Stalkers without receiving any damage at all, because Inca is at the bottom of the map, and there are a lot of EMPs. Everything takes down the Archons. Look at the supply dropping for the Protoss player. There's just nothing that's standing in the way of TaeJa. He deals with all those units within seconds, is EMPing every single Archon in the main part of the army. Inca already lost the Colossi to that small force of the Terran player, and now Inca in a lot of trouble. Tries to put up for a last stand, but Blink won't finish in time. +1 shield upgrade is through, but no, this is not going to happen. TaeJa is taking that game. He is forcing down, he's targeting down the last forces of his opponent. The robotics facility is about to die as well. Now just walking in, trying to take down the fort. The +2 shield upgrade will never see the light of day. That Colossus dies, and at the same time he's now focusing the warp gates of his opponent, is doubling his supply. 149 against 69. That expansion at the top left is not saturated, and Inca struggling to get back into this game, trying to get Archons in order to deal with the bio army, but losing so many warp gates right now. 160 supply for his opponent, still on 5 bases, and targeting down all those bases of his opponent. There's 1 storm going off, and there's a second one as well. That was well done by Inca, but it's not enough to decide that game in his favor. The Templars are being taken down, the top left base being attacked by Marines and Marauders. The main base is still being attacked as well, and the natural dies. Inca types GG, and TaeJa takes game number 1. Very well played by the Terran player. Inca, and the end a little bit, he was lacking concentration. He didn't really pay all that much attention to his army and was caught out of position with 2 of his colossi. He should have realized that those were still attacking minor Terran structures and lost both of them, as well as 2 or 3 stalkers before he could jump to safety with the rest of them.